Okay, we're back at Spessard Highland Golf Course here in Melbourne Beach. I've got a couple of really neat guys here. In fact, we have a bunch of them around today, and you're going to meet a lot of them. But guys, go ahead and introduce yourself. And first of all, make sure you tell us where you're from, because we're in kind of South Florida now. So, in this brutal winter weather here, as you can see. So, guys, introduce yourselves.
Brutal winter weather.
I'm Gary Parnell from Detroit, Michigan.
Terry Nelson from Detroit, Michigan.
All right, guys. Yeah, just glad to have you guys here today. You haven't played the golf course before, right?
No.
Okay. And who brought you here today?
Greg.
Greg
Alexander.
All right,
Pastor
Greg. Okay, we'll talk to Greg too. So let me tell you a little bit about the golf course. A lot of fun to play. It's a Palmer design. It's a shorter course, and everyone thinks, oh, shorter golf course. But guess what? It's a very challenging golf course, because just like today, you always get the wind. We're between the St. Johns River and the ocean, so we're always getting a wind, and you have to hit the golf ball where you're supposed to, which we have a lot of water out there, so make sure you have extra golf balls. Terry, you first. When did you start playing golf?
We was discussing that earlier. I would say maybe about 20 years ago with Rodney English.
Okay.
And he was the first at our church that was playing golf, and we all said, no, we're not going to play golf. Not golf, anything but golf. But start playing and really love the game.
Awesome.
Yeah, I started playing about 20 years ago as well.
Okay.
And like everybody else, through Rod English.
Yep.
But for me, in my day, it was baseball.
Yep.
And so not only did I learn to play baseball, but I grew up through the church with baseball. But these days, it's more golf.
Right.
And so I got involved in that, found it a good way to fellowship and to
Absolutely.
take my anger out on the ball.
Well, just so you know, my history is I was a baseball player, but more basketball player in high school.
Yeah.
And then as I quit basketball and started playing golf and focusing on golf my last 2 years of high school, all of my buddies were basically calling me a sissy. But the funny thing about it is, 10 years later, guess who they were calling to learn how to play golf? So it caught up to them. But no, it's your stories are very common. Most people don't start as junior golfers. It's when they're out there and it's like, wow, can't play baseball anymore, can't play football anymore, can't do any of that stuff. So I have to do something. I'm still a little competitive, you know. So guess what? Golf. Yeah. And I do a lot of teaching, a lot of instruction. And the biggest issue there, most people, they go get a set of golf clubs, they show up at the golf course, and they start swinging a golf club with no idea of what they should be doing. Yeah. And the funny thing about it is, the way I teach that if you play tennis, if you play baseball, if you play other sports, the foundation is exactly the same. It's just the difference is, it always scares people. In the other sports, you notice it's a moving ball, so you get to use your athletic ability to react. Golf just the ball sits there and stares at you and says, what are you going to do?
Right.
And we have all that time to think and mess everything up. So that's the biggest issue. But guys, I just, you know, and you mentioned Rod. That means a lot to me, as I've shared the story with you guys. When I started our program officially in 1989, Rod was the first person that contacted me when I was still in Ohio. This firefighter from Detroit calls me and says, hey, I want to be a part of your program. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. And developed a great relationship with Rod over the years. And Rod interacted with hundreds of kids and families and was just a big part. And then when my family moved to Florida to continue this, you know, Rod would visit once or twice a year, and it was fantastic, and we saw it grow together. It was a really neat thing in building relationships. And that's, I guess, the one question I want to ask you is, because we talked about this briefly, is that relationship thing of, do you notice a different, it's like out on the basketball court, it's like, yeah, I might still be there with my buddies, but there's not a lot of personal interaction unless I'm mad at the guy because he just stole the ball from me. That's the only personal interaction I get. Or if he blocked my shot, and vice versa. But golf, it's different. And that's, you know, it's like, so one is, how does it appeal to your competitive nature? And the other is, how does it fit in your life relationship-wise with other people?
Well, I'll go first. I found a couple things that golf affords. It gives me the opportunity to get to know somebody, even though I may not agree with them. Because I mean, if you're riding with somebody for 18 holes, you know, you're going to talk about a lot of things. You know, you may disagree on politics, you may disagree on environments you were raised in. But what golf taught me to do was to not only listen and respect them, even though I disagree with them, but it gives him an opportunity to know me too.
Right, right.
And being from the inner city of Detroit, there's a lot of preconceptions that come up. And when
a lot of them.
Yeah, when you play golf, it gives them the opportunity to see that some of their notions were off.
Right, exactly.
Like mine were. And then you get to know them. Then next thing you know, okay, call me up next time you play it.
Absolutely.
So that's
neat. That's great input.
Yeah. For me, it would be to get to know myself. Get to know myself and what am I capable of, and how can I control myself when I hit those 35 bad shots.
Yeah, what do you do when you get to the third hole?
I'm looking all around, and then you get to see how other people react. So golf is if you ask me, is the most fantastic game, because you have to really learn how to control yourself, and it's one that if you come out and you don't practice and do what you're supposed to do, it's going to tell them. It's going to tell. It's going to tell.
Absolutely. In fact, I was just sharing that story the other day. Someone was asking me about our kids program. And I always make sure in the first 1 or 2 lessons, because whether people are like it or not, kids are kind of naturally competitive. And it's just, they don't want to lose. So a lot of times they back away from that, and they don't want to be a part of it because of that. And the first thing we make sure of with kids is, hey, it's like, who are you competing with? Mm-hmm. You're competing with yourself. I mean, it's just like, you know, nobody wants to show up and see, you know, LeBron James run out on the court and that's who you're guarding today. You're toast, you know, but because he's going to beat you. With the game of golf, you're competing against yourself. Mm-hmm. It's like, I tell the kids, you know, I don't care if you got a 9 on that hole. What you're trying to do, get an 8 on that hole. It doesn't matter whether the guy you're playing with got a 4 or a 12. It has no impact on you. Mm-hmm. And that's really what kids learn. It's like, you know what, I can enjoy this, I can have fun doing it. Because it doesn't matter if that kid's really good, mm-hmm. because I'm not playing against him. No matter what I'm doing, I'm playing against myself. And I shared a story of I was a teaching pro at a very, very high-end country club in Ohio. It was my first big-time job. And the head professional that brought me in was a big-time college golfer in his day. And so he invited me to play in a pro-am where we each took 3 of our members and played in this event. And they're playing in the group in front of us. And we're on the 17th hole or 16th hole, and it's like everyone knew the scores because our members were talking back trash to each other, playing the event. And I'm 2 or 3 under, and this big-time All-American former college player and now a big-time pro, he's 2 or 3 over. And we're waiting out in the fairway on the 17th hole. I'll never this big oak tree, and his ball's up against the side of it. So he's got to try to hit some really funky shot to get it on the green, and he stubs it. The ball moves about this far, and to our horror, the entire group that I'm playing with, we watch him start slamming his club against the ground and the tree, and we're thinking, oh my gosh, who is this guy? We never knew him before. Yeah. And it really kind of, everyone's like, wow, we didn't know that. It was like, and then it's like in the clubhouse, he's trying to ignore the whole thing, and it's like, I didn't let him. It's like, what happened out there? But no, it really does. It challenges you, and that's a good part. We need challenge.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with that. The other thing I tell kids is like, look, the game of golf, one of the challenges that you'll deal with is you're always tempted as a junior and start playing, you're tempted to cheat. It's always there. Don't try to ignore that or hide it. Guess what? It's there. Face it. And you know what? Every once in a while, it's going to happen. And you know what? You're going to be miserable. because you're always going to remember you cheated. You're not going to remember you won. Every time you think about it, it's going to be tarnished because of what you did to get there. So that first time you do it, face it and move on. Call it on yourself. You know, because you play basketball, if my foot's on the line, they didn't blow the whistle, guess what? My foot's not on the line. In golf, it doesn't work that way. It's up to you. So there's some neat things about the game of golf that I'm sure you guys experience as you play. Been playing quite a while now. And it's the thing that I really try to stress, golf should be fun. You know, it's like, I don't care if you want to be a tour player and you're 17 or a college guy, it should still be fun. Right. If you're not enjoying it, you've made a mistake somewhere. And that's what we try to do with kids program. Because I know if they're having fun, you know what they're going to do? They're going to come back and want to do it again. And that's what makes it work. And it's having guys like you around that are willing to watch a kid, interact with a kid. That's the value of the game, and that's what we can do in giving back to it and really have an impact with it. So guys, I know you're all excited about your golf today. You came in asking what the course record was. Why are they laughing? I don't understand that. But no, I really appreciate you being here today. We've got you hooked up with some goodies. You're going to have some fun. I would encourage you to play in front of Heyman. That way you don't have to watch it all day. So let's go out and have some fun. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Okay, here we go. We are still at Spessard Holland Golf Course here in Melbourne Beach. The river's right there. Just a little history here. I learned this. This is one of the few rivers in the country. It flows south to north. Pretty interesting, huh? Yes. So remember that when you try to swim across it. You're going to be going the wrong way. And we've got the ocean right here behind us. The big deal about that is the wind we always get here on the golf course. It makes the golf course a challenge. I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself. So we want to talk about some golf and some stuff we're doing and learn a little about you guys and your game of golf.
All right. Name is Greg Alexander from Detroit, Michigan.
I'm Joseph Candy from Detroit.
You notice we've got a theme here about this whole Detroit thing, right? And we're going to stick with it as long as we can. Yes, guess what? A lot of people don't know. People from Detroit play golf? Really? Isn't that bizarre? It happens. I know very well for being involved with Detroit golf for a long time through an old friend of mine who's not with us any longer. Wish he was still here. Rod English was very active in Detroit and golf and youth. Guys, I'm going to ask the same questions. When did you start playing golf? How long ago?
I would say 35 or 40 years ago, but the thing about it, it was a lot of time that was inactive in that part. Then I got to know a lot of the guys that I worked in the industry, automobile industry, and so therefore I met a lot of people, and they were interested in golf. And then like Rod and Stan played a major part, and Stan, when I knew Nelson, and we all came down here, and he was a very unique person. He was a talented person, he was a quiet person, and you would never know he was active in so many sports and so many humane things in the community.
Right.
So that was a plus. And then through him and through a lot of people that I took and worked with, that took the stand and brought them into golf. Unfortunately, I understand a lot of those that I used to golf with is gone. But the thing about it, I stay active because I stay active with the people of the church.
Yep, awesome. Awesome.
And it's the only place to stand that an old man can still tell the golf lies, understand, after he gets a certain age.
And you know what? As the older we get better at telling those lies, don't we?
It's either golf or fish.
Trouble is with fish, now you have to have a picture of it.
Yeah, but Dad, I had a dentist that he showed me the same sailfish pictures as that he had 40 years ago.
And every year is a new fish, right?
Told me you got to touch him up a little bit.
Craig.
Yeah, for me, it's been about 20 years as well, as it's been shared already. Rod English, our very good friend, he got all of us involved. We all went to the same church and got all of us involved right around the same time. I could never have imagined myself even wanting to play golf. But because he played golf and then the rest of us started playing, and we continued since the beginning.
Yeah, it was so easy for Rod to get people into, because he wouldn't let up. It's like, hey, this is what I'm doing. What are you doing, kind of thing. But it's like, in fact, a quick story about Rod, because I thought about that so much the last couple of days, is in working with Rod. I mean, he loved it, because as he went through our instruction and learning how to do it, he became a very good golfer. He had an absolutely classic golf swing. So much so, we had a fundraiser in Pittsburgh where we had a lot of the Pirates and Steelers, and all track athletes came out and played in the event, managers, and I got paired with Rod and a couple of the Steelers linebackers who were retired, and it's like the third or fourth hole, they're looking at Rod like, who are you? He's hitting it 20 yards past me, and that's when I could still hit it a long way. And I get in the car and said, Rod, you got to stop doing this. Nobody cares who I am anymore. It's like, what's going on? But no, it was amazing. In fact, I still have some pictures when we had at the World Marriott Center, when we had our Lee Jansen outing. Some pictures of Rod swinging the golf club, and I still look at that, and it's like, and I played, and I was a pretty good player, and I look at that swing, and I think, I wish I could have had that swing. That's how good it was. It was amazing. And a lot of that, he had a lot of natural athletic ability too, and he learned how to convert that into a golf swing. So that's cool. So let's talk about, here's the tough question. Let's talk about your golf swing. What's going on with it?
Well, my golf swing is not what it used to be.
Yeah, you've already told us you're going to lie about
right
it.
Now right now I have a shoulder problem. I said on the rotor cuff, it's at the point that I have to have silicone shots in there every so often.
You hear that? You can't be a quality golfer unless you've created a quality excuse.
Well, that's a fact. But I still found a way to hit it straight and a few yards out there. So I'm not complaining.
Okay, not going to complain. Greg, how's your game?
Well, for me, I'm not going to give an excuse. I don't have a golf swing. I just play because I enjoy being out with the fellas.
Wow, it's taken me. I've been in golf now for 46 years. I finally found an honest golfer. It took that long. I'm not sure that's a good thing though. But no, it's again, I'm enjoying this because kind of announcing to the world, you know what? In the city of Detroit, there's golf. And what excites me about that is what excited me about Rod being involved with that, because guess what? In the city of Detroit, there's golf and there's kids. Yeah. What a great connection, what a great opportunity, as we talked earlier about expanding those opportunities for kids. It's like, I'm a big Ohio State Buckeye fan, being an alum, so I'm always watching where they're recruiting kids from. And it's like you see here, and it's like there's always one or two kids that they just excel at their sport, football, basketball, and guess what? They get opportunities. What about all those other kids that didn't get opportunities? And that's what the game of golf does. It creates opportunities for kids. If you can and we start by teaching our kids, one, is you're competing against yourself. Two, learn how to handle yourself socially at a golf course. Learn what's expected of you. Learn how to respect the property and the people there. Learn just simply where you can walk into the clubhouse, where you're supposed to walk in, and be comfortable in that. I always notice when I watch interviews on television and things going on, I always like to watch the person walk into the interview, because I'm astounded at the level of confidence they portray as they walk in. When you see that, you see, wow, that's powerful. It's like no matter what they're going to be asked, no matter what their environment, they're confident in who they are. And when kids can get that, and golf can help create that for them, it gets them comfortable. I mean, they can be interacting with CEOs that otherwise they would never even know who they were. So it's how in fact, a friend of mine back in my hometown, when I first started this, he was 27, 28. He said, I want to follow you around, see what you do. So he followed me around for a couple of weeks with kids program, what I taught him. He called me a couple of weeks later when I was in Florida. He said, you know what? He said, it worked. I had 2 job offers last week. Just because he learned how to handle himself and to be comfortable in that environment. So there is a lot of weight to that. So we're going to play some golf today, and you are going to keep score. and we're going to post those scores when you're done. So you better get your stories ready. He covered himself already. Don't worry about it. It is what it is. No, we're going to have some fun. I really appreciate you guys being here. We're going to get you some lunch, get you on the golf course, and I might even send Caleb out to take some pictures or something, just so we can prove it. So you can prove those swings. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate being here today.
Right,
Appreciate you having us.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Come on.
Okay, Spessard Holland Golf Course, Melbourne Beach. I don't have any cute stories or history lessons for you, so I will tell you. Everyone comes in here. It's what is Spessard Holland? Spessard Holland was, I believe, in the 40s. He was governor of the state and went on to be a senator. So that's where it's public land. So that's where the name came from. Now you know. Okay, we've got two more guys here from that.
Go ahead.
That is it. Detroit again?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Go ahead, guys.
My name is Mark Robinson. I'm from Detroit, Michigan.
I'm Heyman Cross, also from Detroit.
Now I've known Heyman for a long time, and there's two words that you can always use with Pastor Heyman. One is he's a champion. He's lived his life like a champion. The other word is, because what I do, he's a golfer. The thing is, we never put those two words together in a sentence about him.
That's true. Even though I believe that people who play golf are halfway to heaven.
But no, guys, again, when did you start playing golf?
I started playing about 20 years ago, which is something I thought of because I was raised in Mississippi. Could be a caddy, but I couldn't play golf. So I thought that wasn't a game for me. And Rod got me playing. Matter of fact, he let me use his 9-iron, his putter, and the 3-wood. And that's all I played the first time.
That's all you needed.
No, that's
all you needed.
Same here, it's been over probably about 25 years for me. As a matter of fact, I grew up in Detroit. And to be honest with you, until I started playing golf, I couldn't even tell you where a golf course was in Detroit. I lived in Detroit all my life. I didn't think we had any golf courses. Never thought that I would enjoy it or like it, but fell in love with it because of Rod English. And it's really become probably my second calling in life.
That's a phone he might not want answered. I've seen it swing. But no, it's like, again, guys, I really appreciate having you guys here. It's like I said, I've known Heyman for such a long time. Feels like such a good friend, even though we don't get together very often. It's always awesome when I get to see him. I know some of the guys from Detroit years ago, going up there, Terry and Greg. So it's neat to have everyone here today. We're going to have some fun on the golf course, but really wanted to give everyone a chance just to share how golf interacts with your life and what does it mean as a part of your life. Because, I'm not this, traditional golf said, well, there's something magical about golf that, golf changes people. I've been around it for a long time. I don't think golf does change people. I think it's quality people that change golf, and it gives you an opportunity to express that. It's just not an automatic thing, because you know what? I've been a part of golf course ownership for a long time. I've managed golf courses all over the country, and I've taught all over the country. And I've seen a lot of people playing golf and their attitudes, they're not really good people. And I've seen that surface a lot. So it's not the game of golf that does it. It's the quality of people involved at the game of golf. So that's one of the things that we work on with the kids is trying to put them in that position where they can express how good they can be and give them that opportunity. So give us a little insight into golf and what you use it for. And first of all, it's like, I don't think I've asked anyone, how much golf do you play? You play once, I think Golf Digest, if you play 6 times a year or 5 times a year, you're considered a golfer. So it's kind of general out there, because one of the reasons they do that is because the numbers are dropping so much. They're trying to pump their numbers up. But yeah, tell us a little bit of how much you play, what you get out of it, and why you play.
Well, this is the only game that I compete in. I can't play basketball. I can't play nothing else. So I play it at least 3 times a week.
Oh,
Monday,
wow.
Wednesday, and Friday.
How do I get that job?
Well, they say I don't have a job.
Sounds like pastoral staff to me.
Yes. Yes. For me, last probably 5 years, I literally, when it's warm in Detroit, I play every day. If there's a golf course open, I'm there. 6:30 in the morning. I like playing by myself. I enjoy the game. I enjoy being outside. Now that I'm in my 70s, it's helped me manage my diabetes. My wife started playing about 10, 12 years ago, and she's very competitive. It's the only thing that we can play together and not need a therapist afterwards. Even though I've told her, I vowed she will never ever beat me because I will keep the score. But she loves the game as well. We play literally all over the world. I played all over the world, and I love the game. I love the fellowship. I play with people who love beating me. I play on some really, really nice courses because the people who want me to play with them, they know that they could beat me, and they enjoy me being out there so they could beat me, but I didn't matter because I really, really, really love the game. I did then and I do now. It's just been great for me physically, mentally, spiritually. Quite often when it's warm, I'm out first thing in the morning by myself, just, you know, me and the Lord and the golf course, and just really love the game.
And thus the reason for January and Detroit being here in Florida.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's, in fact, I've heard some rumors about Heyman that when people call him to come and speak, or it's like, the only thing he asks is, what's the name of the golf course?
You got it.
And they're like, what golf course? I don't care where I'm speaking, just where am I playing golf?
I take no engagements up north during the winter.
So it's, in the landscape, I'm going to ask you too, the landscape in Detroit. Obviously, ministry is part of your lives. What do you see out there as you tell us the value you see in golf in that landscape?
Well, we have a camp for inner city kids. We leave no kid at home, and golf is a part of our fundraising for the camp.
Ain't nobody out there believing that there's golf camps in the inner city of Detroit.
Right.
Nobody's buying that. Nobody's ever heard that before.
Yeah, but we have one. We'll be having one in the middle of June, and the camp is in first week and second week in August. In there.
Awesome.
So we raise money every
Actually,
year.
there's only maybe about 3 or 4 inner city overnight camps in the country. And the one that Ma's been involved in is one of the most unique camps for inner city kids. That's how many years now?
Over 30.
Over
Yeah.
30 years. Very, very unique. And for golf to be a part of it, again, it's one of the things that, you know, Ma brings leadership to.
That's amazing.
Well, I was teaching archery, and one day I didn't have no students, so I went. Well, Rod was teaching golf, and that's how I got into golf. So that's the way it happened at camp.
That's awesome. That's legacy. I mean,
Yeah, for me, again, growing up in Detroit, in my 70s, I really believe that young people, particularly inner city children, golf should be the first game they learn because of the etiquette, because of the skills, because of being outside, because of, I mean, just the whole game. You know, again, with most of us, we didn't even find out about it. I was in my 50s over there, but I really believe, you know, we play basketball.
Right.
All of us, we played basketball way, you know, before. But I think it should be the first sport that every young person, particularly inner city kids, should learn, be exposed to. Because like riding a bike, it opens all kinds of doors. It's competitive. You really get a good workout. What's really funny, a lot of times people go out the first time to play, and they think it's easy. And by the third or fourth hole, ready to come in because you really really work out. So I think it's a very unique game. I actually believe the Bible talks about a new heaven and a new earth. There will not be a new earth without golf courses.
Well, one of the things I think
I didn't know we were going into prophecy today.
As well.
One of the unique things is that it teach you is to be on time. That was the main thing I learned about golf. If you got an 11 o'clock appointment, you can't get there at 11:15. So I always be on time.
Yeah, you get some upset golf staff when you start doing that, walking up hey, I'm here. But one of the things too is the problem that I've seen with with kids getting started younger, like you're talking about, historically the issue is with the parents. It was a never part of their life, so they don't know the value of it. They don't understand that. And part of our issue is I think we need to explain that to families beyond it being a sport and a game, of the opportunities it creates. I mean, again, the social interaction, just that alone, and the places it can take you and situations it can put you in, that's critical. And I think, as you know, my history has told me, it's like if mom and dad or no one in the family was involved, they don't understand that, and they don't get it. And I think that's a lot of times where we need to start and explaining to them. It's like, hey, I want your son or daughter in this program, not because I want to coach the next greatest athlete, because I care about their future. That's what it's about, and giving them those opportunities that normally they wouldn't get.
You know, I think too, back, you know, I was Rod's pastor, and when he first shared with me his vision about golf and what he wanted to do with it, particularly in terms of ministry, that's why I thank the Lord for you, Mark, because you were God sent. Because he had the vision, but needed the strategy and the structure. And I remember when he telling me about you, and I'm saying, go do it, follow it. And so it was just God sent for you and him to develop the program that we've used, and I've seen it being used all over the country for kids, where you're dealing with character as well as the game. To me, I think, you know, most churches have basketball programs or softball programs, but again, I think every church should have the kind of ministry outreach that you guys are doing, because it just fits. You don't even have to be a great golfer,
Right.
to teach, you know, the dynamics and the things that are involved in golf.
You're right, and that's one of the things that I've been preaching lately. You can be a 15 handicapper, and you can be a coach. And in fact, the funny thing is, why is it someone that's never even played high school baseball can be a Little League baseball coach, but someone doesn't think they can coach golf unless they played the tour or be a pro? That's never made sense to me, because one of the things I'm proud about, and I don't, you know, I was raised Quaker, so we're taught not to brag. One of the things I am very proud about is we have the best junior program in the world. Our kids, we've learned how to get them to respond. In fact, we went to Hawaii years ago, and we worked with a couple of military bases, Pro Bowl week. And the huge clubhouse on the side of the hill, and we had a row of 30 kids out in front of those windows, people in there eating lunch. And the second day, I had 5 or 6 people came out and said, "Who are these kids? They look great." I said, "Well, they just started yesterday." Mm-hmm. It's because we've learned how they learn. Instead of, for so long when I started, teachers were like, "Okay, I'm going to teach you my system." I didn't care about my system. I want to know what's going to work for you. And that's how we built the program, because if that first day I can get that kid to take a swing with a golf club, and he hits that ball in the air, he loves it. It's like, she loves it. It's like, oh man, I want to do this. That was fun. And that's the key. You know, I started when golf instructors with juniors, they were teaching, you start the first 3 weeks, you take a kid 3 feet from the hole and they putt, and they putt. Now, I kind of changed that whole approach, having worked with kids in all sports. You know, I've got a 10-year-old kid here, has nothing but energy. I'm going to put it on a tee, and I'm going to give a driver, and I said, well, I'm going to say, whack it. And you know what? They respond. And we can coach that. So that's kind of our approach. And it's like, I know it's kind of neat for me here today just to have a chance to talk about Rod again, hear about Rod, because there's so many awesome memories and the impact that he had and what he accomplished. And you know, that's been kind of my revival this last year, as I was sharing with you guys. It's like God's brought me back to that. It's like, okay, this is kind of the end of my career. I know that, and that's fine. I'm good with that. Now it's like, let's go out with a bang. You know, let's make this happen. Let's pass this out for everyone. It's like I shared, we don't bring people to us. We want to come out there and help you do it in your community, just like Rod did in Detroit. It's like, Rod talked about that all the time with me. It's like, you know, I don't need the cavalry riding in to save me. I just need some help getting this started. You know what? It's your community. It's your people. You should be doing it. They don't need me there. If I can do anything to help you and facilitate that, that's what I'm here for. So that's kind of our approach today. I'm glad you guys had a chance to stop by because I wanted to talk to you about it. And I'm again asking folks, just be in prayer about this. If you have any thoughts, you have any ideas, let us know. If you have any network out there, we want to get this in churches, because our approach is, instead of having this great program and maybe having 100 or 200 kids a year come into our program, our approach is, let's get it out there, teach other people how to do it, and you know what? Let's have 10,000 kids impacted across the country, across the world. That's possible. That's a very conservative number. I mean, one guy in a church can have, say, 10 kids. There's 750 churches in the county of Brevard alone. Think about that. So it's just like educating parents to what golf can be for their kids. Part of the process is educating churches to what golf can be for them and their ministry, because it only takes one person in that church, just like Rod, to make it happen. So I didn't mean to get into a sermon, but Heyman inspired me today. So we're going to go play golf. Hope you enjoyed this today, and we'll be back to talk to you later. Thanks. Thanks, guys. Awesome job.
Thank you.